It should be loading up on YouTube. All right, everybody. Let's get the likes up. Got a very interesting topic this week. All right, and here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Hello. Hopefully you can by now. My connection's kind of rough this week. So, thank you, Courtney. Hello, Jayla. I hope that everybody that's watching had an amazing week. And actually, we have a pretty interesting topic this week to talk about. So, let me send my shout outs to anybody that is watching from Facebook, either one of the groups over there, to our community. For Bubblez and Flamez. And if you're not following us, will you please not only like, share, and subscribe this video, but would you please follow us on social media? All right, so this week, what we're going to talk about is safety and how important safety is. But before I do that, all right, does anybody have any interesting news to share? And we're going to circle back around to this at the end. So by all means, if you have something that you want to share, we will talk about it tonight. Just drop it down below in the comments. All right, so tonight we're going to talk about safety for makers. Not only are we going to talk about it for candle makers, but we are also going to talk about it for our soap and body product makers. A lot of times, because we tend to do things on a whim, and also in the comfort of our own homes, if that applies to you, we often tend to forget about safety. And wherever you make your products, it doesn't matter. You still should practice the recommended safety features for what it is that you're making. Right? So I'm going to give you an example. We talked about this a little bit early on in our episodes a couple months ago, but now we're actually going to break it down even more. So for example, if you are a soap maker, there are things that you should always wear when you're making soap, especially if they contain lye. Right? And that one item, well, there's two items really. You should always wear gloves and you should always wear eye protection. All right. And even if, as a candle maker or a body product maker, if you are working with hot wax or if you are working with fragrance oil or essential oils. And why is that? We tend to get comfortable at home, right? But actually, that's where we could actually have a bigger safety issue than we would if we were in a commercial space, right? So things tend to splash into our eyes, and also when we're working with lye, we tend to work with it without any gloves on, right? So you definitely want to practice that and make sure that that becomes a part of your routine. All right. The second thing is to work in a well ventilated space. All right. And that is important because we don't want you to fall out. Again, a lot of people at home or have a home studio, you tend to make things when you can. And again, safety is always important, right? If you are a body product maker, you're primarily working with a lot of oils, mica, and the mica can also get in your eyes. So safety goggles are extremely important for you. All right, so you want to make sure that you get in the routine of having these items near and that you actually use them. All right, most of the items can be found at your local hardware store, or of course, for those of us that love to run to Amazon, including myself, you can get them there. Now, if you're working with mica, or like I do, you work with glitter or anything like that, it is definitely recommended, besides working in a well ventilated area, you also want to wear a ventilator in most cases, because if you work with mica a lot, those particles actually can get into your lungs and cause damage over the years. So if you don't have a ventilator, I would suggest that you invest in one sooner than later, especially, like I said, if you work with color or mica. All right. For soap makers, this is a big one. Never add lye to water. Always add water to lye slowly and carefully while stirring consistently. And of course, can anybody guess why you don't want to play around with lye? And if you don't know and you're a soap maker, I would strongly suggest that you start immediately doing some research, because you should have already done research on making your products and what they consist of. But lye can cause a lot of damage if you mix it up the way that we just spoke about, right? So again, never add lye to water. Always add water to lye, slowly and carefully while stirring constantly. All right. The next thing, I know we tend to do this on the candle maker side, but on the soap maker side, do not use aluminum cookware when making soap. Why is that? It's a reaction from the interaction that lye has with aluminum. You can create harmful fumes. So again, if you are a soap maker, do not use aluminum cookware when making soap, because the lye has an interaction and a bad reaction from the aluminum, which can create harmful fumes. So again, don't want any of you falling out. So if you don't know about that, go ahead and research that, because that is very important, especially if you are a soap maker. All right. The next thing, and of course, if you all have things that you want to talk about, you can definitely drop it down in the comments, but I'll keep going. If you are working with hot wax, any type of lye mixture, or soap, especially hot process, there's an item that every maker should have in their arsenal if you are working with something that involves heat, and that is a thermometer. Whether the thermometer is an old school thermometer or whether you use one of the infrared ones, you definitely need to have a thermometer or two around. All right. A lot of people use the candy or chocolate thermometers. So you want to make sure you have something. I personally use the one that you can point with the infrared. All right. I have one in a backup. All right. So the next thing, Jayla, I know you are going to say something about this, but this is a soap maker thing, and I know that all my soap makers might say that's not true. But I wanted to talk about this one. So for my soap makers, if you can help me out here, do not use fragrance oils or essential oils that contain citrus oils. Citrus oils can react with the lye and create harmful fumes. So I don't know if Rose is on, if Rob is on, anybody that is a soap maker. So I'll say it again. Do not use fragrance oils or essential oils that contain citrus oils. Citrus oils can react with the lye, so this is for soap makers, and create harmful fumes. All right, let me jump over here to the comments. Oh, Jayla hasn't said anything yet, so I guess I'm clear. So, candle makers, of course, that one doesn't apply to you because we do not use lye for my body product makers as well. All right. All right, the next one, this applies for soap makers. Test the pH of soap before using it. You would think that would be a common sense thing, but it is not. The pH of soap should be between 8 and 10. If the pH is too low, the soap will be too alkaline and can irritate your skin. And a lot of our favorite suppliers actually have pH test strips. So if you are a soap maker, that is something that you should have in your arsenal. All right. So please, especially if you are making yoni soap, make sure that you test the pH before using it. And your range for that should be between 8 and 10, because if it's too low, it could have the alkaline in it could be too high and it would irritate someone's skin. All right, let me make sure. Let me see if I have any of my soap makers that chimed in on that. Doesn't look like it so far. All right, so we'll keep going. The next thing is to store your products and even your oils in a cool, dry place. Again, I talked about this a little bit last week with the fragrance. What that does is it allows the products to stay cool and so they don't start mixing. All right, they don't start blending, and you don't want a blend that you don't control, right? We want all of our blends to be where we control them. All right, let's see what my next tip here is. Go back here, and you all know I always keep my notes, so bear with me here. Make sure that I go through, because then I'm going to get into, now I'm going to get into specifics. So if you are a maker, before I jump to the next thing, you definitely want to make sure that you practice safety at all times. Safety is key. Just like if you went into someone's facility, you've got to follow their safety rules. So you want to make sure that even if you have a home studio, as I said before, you definitely want to practice safety. So don't do anything that you wouldn't do in a big commercial space. You want to do the same thing that you would do at home. I'm sorry, I said it reversed. At home, you want to practice what you would do in a commercial facility, right? All right, bear with me here. Make sure I don't have anything else. Does anybody have anything that they would like to add to that? All right, a lot of it should be common sense, but again, a lot of people don't pay attention to what they're doing because they figure if they're at home, it doesn't matter. The same rules apply. So let's talk about some of the things that we just went over. So we said gloves, safety glasses, right? If you're a soap maker, you're going to need the test strips, and most of our favorite suppliers actually have that. Also a thermometer, and no aluminum cookware if you are making soap, because it could react with the lye and create toxic fumes. Also, if you don't remember anything else, if you're a soap maker, remember this: never add lye to water. Add the water to the lye slowly, carefully, and while stirring constantly. We want to make sure that we work in a well ventilated area. And like I said, especially if you are working with mica, it's recommended that you use a ventilator. They have the respirator type on Amazon as well as the ventilators, and even the ones that you can change out the filters. All right. I actually got one of the pink ones because I thought it was cute and I ended up liking it. All right. So the next thing that we're going to talk about in particular, what do you all think are some ideas that they should follow for safety for a body product maker? So if you make body butters, the different lip glosses, dry oils, anything that has to do with the body, What do you think are some of the important safety features that body product makers should follow and make? All right, now give you a chance to drop that in the comments. You know what, Courtney, that is a definite, definite. And if you, but see, that's kind of a rite to passage, because if you haven't been burned by hot wax, I don't know. That's for us as candle makers. So Courtney had put protective clothing because hot wax burns bad. All right. And then also she added for the other question I just asked, knowing what ratios of ingredients that can be used on the skin. And Jayla is laughing at us both. So Courtney's last comment about the ratios of ingredients that can be used, that was for body product makers. All right. A lot of people have their own proprietary blends, right? But you still want to make sure, if you are a body product maker, that it is going to work with the skin. And my hats go off to the body product makers and the soap makers, because I haven't ventured into that area, because you are interacting with the skin. Whether you are making oils, and of course, the body product makers work primarily with oils, but you still want to practice safety. And what's one of the other big things that they really have to pay attention to when they are making their body products? And Courtney said that was a rite of passage she didn't want to experience. But we've all touched something that's hot, or the wax was hotter than we thought. Especially if you work with the coconut wax, you get to where you get used to it to a certain degree, because we deal with wax that's over 200 degrees sometimes. All right. And my question for the body product makers, the number one thing I think for safety is that if you spill some oils on the floor, don't forget to get them up immediately so that you don't slip, trip, or fall. All right. A lot of people are like, oh, I'll get it later. And then you end up possibly leaving it there, or you mess around and slip and fall. And there you go. That's a trip to the ER. Right. And nowadays, you'll be sitting there for hours unless you live in a small town. All right. So, what are some of the other things that body product makers have to watch out for with their safety rules? There's a big one here. It is a safety issue, but it's more so a cosmetic issue, that a lot of people have this as a pet peeve with body products. And I'll give you a hint. We all have it in some form or fashion, but we don't want to see it in our food or in our products. So especially soap makers, body makers, even for us as candle makers, but it's rare to have this item in a candle. Let me see yes, hair. Definitely, that is the answer I was looking for. So make sure that you put a net over your hair if you have long hair, because people will send your product back, and I am one as well, if there is hair in the product. Like I said, it's not that often, but it's something that you should be practicing, right? All right, so switching over to candle makers. What is the number one thing besides hot wax that we just talked about that we should be practicing for safety as candle makers? And this is across the board, doesn't necessarily have to be anything that is specialized. What do you think? We talked about it a little bit. All right. I'm trying to give my comments here time to think about it and respond. But as candle makers, yes, ventilation is one. And also, how about gloves, right? When we're moving that hot wax around, and I'm guilty of this as well. A lot of times we are using our pour pitchers They're hot, so depending upon what you're doing, if your pour pitcher does not have a cool handle, you want to make sure that you wear gloves, because a lot of candle makers burn their fingertips, and you can easily and quickly get a third-degree burn. All right, so we've talked about, for all across the board, all of our makers. So body product makers, you want to make sure that if you spill any oils or color or wax, any of that, you want to get it up quickly so you don't slip on it. Our soap makers, of course, it sounds like the number one thing for you all is to practice lye safety. And then for candle makers, of course, if you are working with or around the hot wax, you want to be conscious of where that wax is and moving at all times. Some of the recommended items that you should have handy in your studio besides your safety equipment, and your studio could be your kitchen table, right? A lot of people have started from the kitchen table and now they are in huge warehouses. But some of the little things that can easily help you are your Clorox wipes, of course, your gloves, your disposable gloves, and of course, paper towels. Paper towels is a must in studios to wipe things up quickly, right? And then if you get really fancy, of course, you've got your broom, your mop, whatever the case may be for your studio area, and maybe even a Swiffer mop to get things up quickly. So again, don't overwhelm yourself. Just practice basic safety measures. Definitely for my soap makers, you all have to have a little bit more required safety equipment, because you all are working with lye in most cases. And now I truly understand why a lot of people are doing melt and pour, because it's simple. You just melt it and pour it literally. But cold processed soap, there are some of the most beautiful bars of soap that I've ever seen. And how you all do that, and hats off to you, because a lot of the designs are beautiful. All right. So some other things, depending upon, again, what your situation is in your studio, is some people put on shoe booties to cover their shoes. I've seen people make candles in bunny suits or scrubs. So everybody kind of has their own way of how they dress. A lot of us, including me, will put on something with our company logo on it, especially in the wintertime. I love wearing my hoodie for my candle company. So definitely, if you're filming, you want to wear something that is representing your brand. But I wanted to quickly do this subject. I know that it's a short subject, to just bring awareness to all of my makers out there, because this is the time of year where we start ramping up. This is the month, is what I was getting ready to say, that we start ramping up in August. And yes, happy August already. And going into September and October, that we start preparing for the holiday. So you want to practice safety. All right. And one thing I did want to put out there and ask for my makers is, if you have a particular product that you want to talk about, if you have a particular topic that you want to talk about, please drop it down in the comments or send me a DM, because for my soap makers and my body product makers out there, that is outside of my comfort zone. So I just try to do a lot of research on the most popular products. And I am working with some of my soap makers to get them to come on and speak to that, so you all can talk soap maker to soap maker, and I will be the resource to connect everybody. So definitely, if you have a topic that you want to discuss, doesn't matter what type of products that you make, whether it's candle, soap, or body products, please feel free to drop it down in the comments. Either myself and or my mods, we do read it, or shoot me a DM on social media, either TikTok, IG, or the Facebook group. All right, so let me turn it over really quick to my mods to look. I'm looking in the comments to see if they have anything for me today that that anybody wanted to update everybody on. I did see, and before I say what I'm getting ready to say, this video is not sponsored by any supplier, we always like to do this session where we let you know what's going on, any sales that we've received, or anything that is upcoming. And one thing that I did see is that Peach State Candle Supply has dropped some of their prices. I just got the email yesterday, so you all might want to check them out. They have a new price structure that they just put in effect on yesterday. This is a question that I had for everybody out there. If you could put it in the chat for me, what was the result of the UPS strike? Are they still on strike? Did they get it worked out? Because I know it was supposed to be over 7/21. I thought it was 10 for 10, Courtney. And Courtney just posted that Aztec has a coupon code. All right, so now we got it coming in. All right, so Aztec has a coupon code, and let me see if I can look that up real quick. And Online Labels has 10% off. Okay, so let's see. And what do you mean by for August 10th? Is that my answer to the UPS thing? All right, I got the Aztec one too, so good looking out on that. All right, August 10 for 10. Aztec candle. This is the one that Courtney just put. Okay, and they just sent out a supply. An email about supplies. You can get the 10 for $10 for 10 1-ounce fragrance bottles for $10. Okay, so that's if you want to try out any particular type of fragrance before you commit to it. And Aztec has a lot of supplies for candle, soap, and body makers, or any combination of the above. And a lot of people ask, and I shouldn't say this because I need to go buy some, but of course, I'm going to tell you. The candle warmers, a lot of people want to know where to get them in bulk. You can get them from Aztec. Another place is if you have a LLC and all of your sales tax paperwork established, you can also sign up with candle warmers themselves, but the minimum order is $400. And also you can check with several retailers on Fair. So again, this live stream is not sponsored, but I wanted to share that information with you all because it is time to start buying that. Okay. It's time for you to start buying those supplies for the holiday, right? All right, here's another one. Courtney just dropped in the chat. Just Sense is moving to Wholesale Supplies Plus. All right, and if I'm not mistaken, I think that is the third one to join that family, which the Flaming Candle, I believe, falls under there, and now Just Sense. So they are becoming a very large supplier. So definitely go and check them out. All right, so some people or suppliers that have released. Okay, yep, I was about to talk about that one next after this. Keep your eyes out with your favorite suppliers because a lot of them are releasing the holiday scents. So if you are going to do something special for the holidays, now is the time to get your supplies. And a lot of suppliers also have wax and wicks and all the fun things that we use as makers on sale. Michael's is running a storage sale for 40% off many items. And Courtney just dropped in the chat that Makesy has a sale of up to 70% off. So, if you shop with Makesy, you definitely want to take advantage of that. Nature's Garden actually has a couple things, and Courtney just dropped this one, gingerbread fragrance oil, 10% off. All right, so it looks like gingerbread. Yes, we're talking about gingerbread in August is the fragrance of the month. So if you're not doing it, as I always encourage you to do, go ahead and start thinking about your holiday lineup. Yes, in August. You want to go ahead and start working on that because it's going to be time to start advertising it in October and November. So you want to go ahead and have your product ready. Also, if you are doing any fall events, if you haven't signed up for them, you want to go ahead and start looking for those events because time is moving very quickly. All right. Do we have anything else? And don't forget to go check us out on the website. It is, of course, www.bubblez and flames with a Z podcast, all one word.com. Check out the mods over there. You can see all of their social media sites, as well as myself. I have my candle company on a break, but you can still go out there and see everybody's amazing items. And go ahead, remember, I said go ahead and grab that fragrance list that we have out there, that infamous fragrance blends list, because remember, I'm going to retire the free one soon. I'm not going to retire it, we're going to split it out to free blends and also the list that keeps on growing. So go out there and snatch it. When you go get it, make sure that you use the code to make it free. We are going to move to where you will have to pay for the list that we keep adding to every month. And then the free ones will become a static document. We won't add to it anymore once we split it out. All right. Definitely go ahead, and if you don't mind, if you haven't already, like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Again, I am constantly looking for ways to bring you all more information and grow the knowledge base out to all of our communities for candle makers, body product makers, and soap makers. And the next thing, if you are a body product maker and you want to have a particular topic on the podcast, feel free to go ahead and send me a DM so I can start talking about that more. And anybody who has a topic that they would like to see, or if you would like to be a guest on the podcast. And that brings me to the next thing. And not to talk you all to death, I just wanted to make sure that I did all the announcements that I had. We just celebrated our 25th episode last week, and this is number 26. So if you would like to be featured on the podcast, I am actually looking for makers who don't mind sharing their craft, because I'm getting a lot of messages about, hey, can you have some guests on that will talk about making candles and or soap, and even body product makers. So we're going to be moving that way. So if you are interested in being on the podcast, by all means, send me a DM and we'll work the arrangements out. So that is all that I have for tonight. I just wanted to reiterate to everybody about safety and how important it is, and definitely start working on and thinking about your campaigns and programs for your products for the holidays. All right. And also, if you know someone that is good, maybe yourself, if you utilize social media, especially the Facebook ads, hit me up if you're willing to talk about it, because a lot of people ask about Facebook ads and I don't do them myself. Instagram ads, Facebook ads. I dibble and dabble in Pinterest ads, but definitely if you're interested in being a guest, just let me know. And that is all I have. Like I said, I wanted to acknowledge and appreciate everybody that is watching tonight. Please share the video and watch some previous episodes. And I will see you all, if you don't have anything else, in another live stream next Wednesday at 8 p.m. All right. I actually don't know right now. I have 3 topics that I'm looking at, so I want to see which way that we're going to go. All right. So that is all I have. And I wanted to thank my mods that are out here. Let me see what comment I just got. Hello, Abba. Welcome, welcome. All right. So that is all that I had. No problem, Abba. We're actually wrapping up, but you made it. So, and I appreciate that. All right. So again, if you have anything that I appreciate it, Abba, if you have anything that you would like to see on the show, like I said, future episodes or what have you, or matter of fact, Abba's timing is perfect for this. If you have a niche or a specialty that you would like to talk about, by all means, please contact me. Abba is going to, we're going to work out a special live stream for her to come on and talk about some of the products that she does. We know her in the candle world for her infamous massage candles, but she is going to come and talk about, what is it, Abba? Parasonoma. I always mess it up, but it's basically if you have a problem with the sense of smell, if you've lost it. And that's a big topic, especially after COVID. All right. So, with that, let me see one more time if my mods or anybody in the chat has anything to say. Parasonoma or parasonoma, Parosmia. All right. Very interesting topic. All right, so I know that show is definitely coming up. I'm also trying to book some other guests. And if you are a guest and you're just talking, you don't have to show your face. If you are doing a demonstration, you also don't have to show your face, but of course, we will have to see your hands and see you making your amazing products. All right, so I don't have anything else. I'm going to give you 20 minutes back in your day for this evening, and I hope to see you next Wednesday at 8, and I appreciate each and every one of you. So with that being said, I wish everybody within the sound of my voice an amazing week, a blessed weekend, and abundance to everybody until we meet again. All right, talk to you all soon, and good night.